chemists. Today we're going to be learning how to make a solution. This is a very important lab technique that you will need to be able to do throughout the year. So a couple things you want to make sure you have before you start making your solution is number one, you need to choose the volume and the molarity of the solution that you're going to be making. Today I am making a 0.1 molar concentration solution of lead to nitrate. I'm going to be making 250 milliliters of that. Once you know the molarity of the solution you're making and the volume, you will need to calculate the amount or the mass of the solid that you will need to measure out. Once you have all those materials gathered, you will then mass out your solid, add the solid to the volumetric flask. You will then fill to the line with distilled water, swirling as you go so that the solid does dissolve. Once you have completed making the solution, you will then put that solution into a different container for storage. You will need to label it with the molarity, the chemical formula, the date that it was made, and your initials. The equipment you will need out today to make a solution includes a balance, a weigh boat, a scupula, the chemical you're going to be making the solution out of, some distilled water, and a volumetric flask. A volumetric flask is a special kind of flask that's used just for making solutions. It has a single line on it. So these come in different sizes. I'm making a 250 milliliter solution, so that's the size of volumetric flask that I will get out. You all are going to be making 100 milliliter solutions, so the volumetric flask you will need is a 100 milliliter volumetric flask. So these come in a variety of sizes. You just need to pick, get out the appropriate one for whatever volume of solution that you're going to be making that day. Okay, so now I'm going to begin making my solution. One thing I do recommend is to give your volumetric flask a quick rinse with distilled water, just to make sure that there are no impurities lining the inside of your bottle. So I'm just going to squirt a little bit of distilled water around the inside of my volumetric flask, give it a little swirl, and dump that out. Okay. Then you're going to measure out the amount of solid that you're going to be adding into the, that you're going to be putting in the solution. I am making a 0.1 molar lead to nitrate solution, so I have already calculated how many grams of lead to nitrate I need to mass out. And I've already done that on my balance. Okay. So what I'm going to do is add my lead to nitrate to my volumetric flask, and then I'm going to add distilled water to the volumetric flask. Rinse the rest of that down into the volumetric flask, and then I'm going to fill this, swirling as I go, to the single line that's on the volumetric flask. It's also a good idea, because you don't want to leave any behind, to kind of rinse your weigh boat as well, to get out any additional solid that was left behind as you added that solid into the volumetric flask. So I'll rinse that in. Okay. So what I'll do is just add this water to the flask. Now, it is a good idea before you get all the way to the line, try to get as much of the solid to dissolve as you can. Okay, and there you have it, a 0.1 molar lead to nitrate solution, 250 milliliters of it. Keep in mind that as you get toward the single line that's on here, this is a glass bottle. It will form a meniscus. So you want to make sure that the bottom of the meniscus is on that line. So that is how you make a solution in a volumetric flask.